I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. One of the big agenda items from the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives is to attack the United States military. House MAGA Republicans are going around in right-wing interviews and saying that the military is too woke and that the military is just supposed to go out there and blow things up and kill people. This is what MAGA Republican Chip Roy said earlier in the day on Fox's morning show. Play this clip.
Because you've got the leadership, the brass of the Department of Defense, who are prioritizing Pride Month, putting out pictures with rainbow bullets, that they're, having the military stand down for a day to focus on the whiteness and the wokeness and all of the danger that they say is appearing, which is actually rather minimal and small, and they're destroying the culture of our military. And they actually hire positions at the top level of defense for diversity and equity, which is saying apologize for your whiteness and promoting your 1619 project. We need to end that. Yes. We need to refocus our military on what it's supposed to do, which is blow things up and kill people. And I introduced legislation to do that last year, and Senator Rubio has joined me this year in that effort.
Congressman, thank you.
Thank you all.
The timing of these interviews also is not coincidental. So right after the terrorist shot up Club Q, the LGBTQ plus nightclub in Colorado Springs, killing 5 and grievously injuring about 18 to 20 other individuals in the club. This is what the MAGA Republicans have gone out there and done. They've been saying horrible and horrific things about LGBTQ plus, about Pride Month, and just attacking the LGBTQ community and basically blaming the victims. And I'm reminded by the statement that General Mark Milley made, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to Congress a few months or about a year ago, where they were attacking him for, why would you make members of the military read literature to have better understandings about our history? They tried to go into the whole woke thing that all of the MAGA Republicans champion now, instead of actually focusing on these issues. And this is what the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said back then. And this has made Mark Milley and the military leadership the subject of complete and utter derision and contempt by MAGA Republicans. Play this clip.
Mr. Chair, and thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. I know my time is very precious, but I would like to yield some of my time to General Milley because I know that he had some comments that he wanted to make when Representative Gates was talking, as well as Mr. Waltz, about a similar subject of the stand down and race theory. Would you like a minute or so to comment on that? Do you remember what your line of questioning or thought was there?
Sure. First of all, on the issue of critical race theory, et cetera, I'll obviously have to get much smarter on whatever the theory is. But I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders, now and in the future, do understand it. I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx. I've read Lenin. That doesn't make me a communist. So what is wrong with understanding, having some situational understanding about the country for which we are here to defend? And I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote, woke or something else because we're studying some theories that are out there. That was started at Harvard Law School years ago, and it proposed that there were laws in the United States, antebellum laws prior to the Civil War, that led to a power differential with African Americans that were 3/4 of a human being when this country was formed. And then we had a Civil War and Emancipation Proclamation to change it. And we brought it up to the Civil Rights Act in 1964. It took another 100 years to change that. So look it, I do want to know. And I respect your service, and you and I are both Green Berets. But I want to know. And it matters to our military and the discipline and cohesion of this military. And I thank you for the opportunity to make a comment on that.
Thank you, General. Change.
I want you to compare the angry and ignorant statements of the MAGA Republican Chip Roy to the insightful and compassionate statements of General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The contrast couldn't be clearer there, and it is vital. It is important to study the truth. It is vital and it is important to understand what is going on in our country. It is important and vital to call out and condemn white supremacy and domestic terrorism, the type of stuff that leads to the January 6th insurrection, the type of rhetoric that MAGA Republicans spread daily. When MAGA Republicans go, free speech, free speech, free speech, this, I have a free speech right. You know what? You do have a free speech right, and your free speech right is you can say those, unfortunately, those hateful things, and you can say those absurd things without being arrested by the government. That is what a free speech, your First Amendment right, is a right to have free speech from the government. But what it doesn't allow you to do is stop people from criticizing your hate. When you say hateful things, when you say racist things, when you say these horrible things about the LGBTQ plus community and a compassionate society, a society that values the dignity of all people, when we criticize that and say it is wrong for you to spread hate, and we are critical and say that you should be held accountable for those statements and not be in positions of leadership to spew that hate, that is not a cancel culture. That is just being critical of the fact that you are a hateful and ignorant and racist person. And it's just calling you out for that despicable conduct. In the United States military, as General Milley said, we have a diverse military. That is what is the strength of our military. And not just our military. That is the strength of our country. That is the strength of corporations. That is the strength of what made America and what makes America a special place. And growing up and learning how America is this melting pot of all different cultures and races and people from across the world, a place that is open to immigrants, a place that is compassionate. That is what has always made America special. Not that we go around and blow things up and just kill people. It's such a WWE performative, cosplay fascist. Oh, you're a tough guy, Chip Roy, because you grew a goatee and you say tough things on Fox News? That makes you a tough guy? No. It absolutely doesn't. You want to see and all these MAGA Republicans, they worship Putin and the Russian army, and they say that's the model. You remember when Ted Cruz, basically said, oh, look at the video of the American military, which championed inclusion and diversity. Now, here's a video. It was all like white Russian soldiers who all had their head shaved. Now, that's what a military is supposed to look like. Well, if that's what a military is supposed to look like, you're also what a politician's not supposed to look like, because you're a loser. That military's a bunch of losers. And when you do this performative, racist bullshit stuff, you're just a bunch of freaking losers at the end of the day. And the fact that you criticize and attack someone like General Mark Milley, a Green Beret, someone who has devoted his life to military service, and says, yeah, I read books. I'd like to know what goes on in the country. I could read a book of something that I even disagree with, but I want to read it because I'd like to understand it. And I think it's important that our military and, frankly, Americans understand better the world and the way things work. It's that simple. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hey, hit the subscribe button right now. We are on our way to 1 million subscribers thanks to your support. Also, consider joining our Patreon site. Go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We have exclusive content you can only get on Patreon, but most importantly, help grow this independent media platform. We so appreciate you. If you could do that, no worries. If you can't, because we're not funded by any outside investors at all. We rely 100% on your generosity. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Until next time.
MeidasTouch is unapologetically pro-democracy. And look, we know you are too. So please make sure you check out our best-selling shirt and our best-selling gear, the unapologetically pro-democracy gear. And hey, while you're at it, make sure you check out my favorite shirt and one of our most famous designs. It wasn't rigged, you're just a loser. At store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.